Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell Owens, and this is episode 144, 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and airing on the amazing Bowie Television. Got a great episode for you today. We're going to come in here and give you our power rankings heading into week 7 of the NFL season. Tonight, we got Broncos and Saints from New Orleans. Sean Payton coming back to town. All that fun stuff. Talk a little bit about the Ravens and Commanders and what happened last week at the game. We're going to get into a lot. But can't sit there and just talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's break down episode 144 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Bowie Television. Let's get it started now.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
We are here for episode 144 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and, of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. Week 7 NFL season is upon us. Tonight, Saints versus Broncos from New Orleans. And then we'll see if Sean Payton can beat his former team tonight. So, but we'll have 2 rookie quarterbacks going at it, Spencer Rattler and Bo Nix. So it'll be fun to see how that dynamic works tonight. But there's a lot to get into. There's some teams that have, pushed their way into certain spots here in the bottom and in the outside looking in. And, of course, the top 10. There's so much to get into with all that. So we're just going to go ahead and get the party started. We've got a lot to get into. And, of course, we start off with the bottom. Bottom teams here for week number 7. Now, it's the Carolina Panthers. They're the 32. They're number 32 here on the power rankings. Carolina really has been a sad situation to watch because that there is a young man there sitting that they drafted and he's not playing. They got Andy Dalton now starting. They have played better as a team with Andy Dalton as a starter, but it just seems like this team is heading in the wrong direction. And right now, we're hearing that potential players that could be gone. Deontay Johnson, who's had a really good first half of the season, they may try to trade him and get some draft picks. They also are looking at Jadeveon Clowney. Detroit needs some help at the defensive backs. On defensive line. So they may go pick up a Jadeveon Clowney. That could be a possibility. So if they go that route, I'll be very intrigued to see if that's something that they try to do. So Carolina right now at 32, I'm not gonna say clearly the worst team in football. I think it's a tie between them and the Patriots. When you look at what Jacksonville has done, who is 31 on this power ranking, they on paper should be a way better team than what we've seen, and it just hasn't been there at all. So with Carolina being 32, they just had, to me right now, clearly, I'll say right now they're just a smidge, like maybe just a smidge over the Patriots, the worst team, like on paper. But the way things have been going, Jacksonville's lost some ugly ones. Patriots have, for the most part, have competed in their games. They did take a tough loss to the Texans last Sunday, 41-21, but we saw some positive things from Drake May in that game. So it was really a tango between those 3 teams. Now, the Browns are right there because they're another team that on paper are like right there. So 32, 31, and 29, 32, 31, 30, and 29 have been really a little bit of a battle, in my opinion, of teams. You might even throw Tennessee there, who's at 28, where it's just been a little bit weird between those teams trying to figure out where exactly they stand. But for now, the Panthers, in my opinion, worst team in football. Jacksonville, the way they play with the talent is more disappointing. I got them at 31. At 30, the New England Patriots, well, like I said, they're young and they still have a lot of growing to do. Drake made his first start as the QB of the team, as the starting QB of the team, and he didn't have a terrible day. He had he was 20 for 33, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's stuff that can be cleaned up along the way. But he did show some signs, and a lot of people were intrigued on what they saw. So we'll see. But it is early there. With the 29 team, the Cleveland Browns, it's just a disaster fire. They trade away Amari Cooper to the Bills, which Bill fans have to be excited about. And right now, you're wondering, are they trying to make a play for Shador Sanders or Travis, or maybe more Shador than anything? But, they're jockeying for a top 5 pick right now. And it'll be very interesting to see where they go. And if they decide to make a change at QB, the way Deshaun Watson and things have been going there after they paid this man all his money, guaranteed contract that it is. So very intriguing situation with the Browns. So they're at 29. At 28, the Tennessee Titans. We talked about how this team is still I don't know exactly what they're doing. Will Levis, who had an absolute miserable game last week, but they still were in the game against the Colts, and he only had 95 yards passing, 16 for 27 for 95 yards, a touchdown and a pick. It just wasn't pretty. There was some rumors that they potentially were thinking about trading DeAndre Hopkins, but it doesn't look like that's not the case. They got Calvin Ridley, who's another great receiver. He's not getting the ball. It's a lot going on in Tennessee. So right now, they're at 28. At 27, the Rams. I see the Rams at 1-4, mostly because of the injuries that they're having on this team right now. Offensive line banged up. Then you don't have your top 2 receivers in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Kupp could be back this week, so that's a positive thing there for the Rams. We're going to see if that ends up changing anything or if that will help them out at all. So that's something that they're going to be on the lookout for. At 26, the Vegas Raiders. It was a bad football team. I don't know how they got 2 wins. I don't know. They trade Devontae Adams to the New York Football Jets, who are 22 on the countdown this week. They got some draft picks out of it. It could be as high as a second round pick, depending on how it all kind of falls out. But right now, the Jets are a little bit happy because they reunited Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, but the Raiders are still just trying to find their way. And my biggest thing with the Raiders, I just don't want to see Antonio Pierce get kind of pushed out the door before he's had a real good chance to kind of get this team, I think, on the right foot. If you saw the way they played last year for him, inspired, and now you see now it's been a very big difference, but it's just they just don't have enough talent. They just don't. They're at 26. At 25, the New York Football Giants. Now, the Giants have played pretty solid football for the most part. But for me, they could – well, there's a couple games that I feel like they could have beat the Commanders, and they also could have beat Dallas. They could easily be 4-2 right now. And we'd be like, whoa, look at the Giants. But they're still young. No Malik Neighbors the last couple of weeks. Devin Singletary has been nicked up, so they're still trying to figure things out. Giants are at 25. At 24, the New Orleans Saints, another team dealing with some big injuries. Derek Carr's out. Spencer Rattler got the start last week against the Bucks. They were up 27-24 against the Bucks at the half. And then what happens? Well, the Bucks just said, we're going to go ahead and score 27 unanswered points. It just got out of control in that second half. And, the Buccaneers did what they needed to do. And the Saints just were nowhere to be found in the second half of that game. But we have them at 24 for now. See if they can figure things out tonight. At 23, the Arizona Cardinals, losing 34-13 to the Packers. This is the team. This is the same team that beat the 49ers last week. And then this week, they look like the team that played against the Commanders a couple weeks ago. I don't know exactly what's going on in Arizona, but I think this offseason is going to be one of those things where they're really going to have to make some really tough choices there in Arizona. But we'll see. They're at 23. At 22, the New York Football Jets. They lost their game against the Bills on Monday night in a tough one. The Mike Williams slip up that, Aaron threw an interception and Williams slipped. And, now they're saying he's on the trading block after they brought in Devontae Adams. The Jets have to figure this thing out quick, or the Aaron Rodgers experience is slowly, or let me say quickly, is becoming a disaster. Jets at 22. At 21, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're 2-4. It hasn't been pretty. We don't know if they're going to kick it up a notch. It may happen, it may not. But if it is, it better happen soon, because things are not looking haven't looked too positive for the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, so here it is, the bottom. The Panthers, the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Browns, the Titans, Rams, Raiders, Giants, Saints, Cardinals, Jets, and the Cincinnati Bengals. There it is, our bottom. There's only, out of the teams at the bottom, I feel like the Jets, the Bengals, and maybe the Rams, maybe even the Giants, maybe teams that can, I think, eventually find their way a little bit further up on the list. Who knows, even make a push for the playoffs. But that's in due time. Right now, it's time for the outside looking in. Outside looking in, the Miami Dolphins. They didn't play last week, which is probably a good thing. They give Tua a little bit more time to get healed up, and we'll find out probably by the end of the month what the deal is with Tua. But that team has been through a little rough patch because of Tua being out, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback with Tyler Huntley, and then they also had Skylar Thompson in there. It just hasn't worked, but the Dolphins are at 20. At 19, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos had won 3 straight games up until this past week, losing a tough one to the number 13 team on this power ranking, the San Diego Chargers. That's right, the San Diego Chargers, not the LA Chargers. I'm sorry. I'm going with San Diego. And it was actually a pretty decent game, but the Broncos couldn't pull it off in the end. This Broncos team is weird to me. They're winning games. They beat the Bucks, who have having a really good season. They beat the Jets, who have Aaron Rodgers, and so they've beaten teams. And you're like, okay, well, they're finding ways to win. Tough loss last week, but this is a team that you got to watch out for. And I think they win tonight. At 18, the Dallas Cowboys. Whew. Dallas, boy, oh boy, 47-9. They said on NFL Red Zone it was the first time that a score in the NFL ended with the score of 47-9. So it's a league anomaly. I could have destroyed that as well. But there's a lot of questions behind this Cowboys team right now and what exactly is going on and what are they going to do to figure it out, because I feel this almost feels like a tank. Even though I know I don't think it is, it just feels like one. Just, they paid Dak all this money. They paid CD all this money, and they're not getting the results on the field. Something's got to change in Dallas pronto. They're at 18. At 17, the Seattle Seahawks, a team that is still trying to find their way. They started off great. They were 3-0, and since then they've lost 3 straight games. So that's something that, that Mike McDonald and his team up there are going to have to try to get, situated. That loss against San Francisco last Thursday night, 36-24, moving my Thursday night record to 4-2, which I didn't like. But this team has the talent to maybe, make the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to go to Super Bowl or nothing like that, but they could definitely make the playoffs with this talent. But they're at 3-3 right now, and they've got to kind of get things, use the Uno card reverse and get things back on the groove. They're at 17. The Colts are at 16. Joe Flacco has come in and done some really good, mop-up duty. Well, not going to say mop-up duty, but done some really good relief work. There we go. In the absence of Anthony Richardson. And they needed some stability there, and Joe Flacco's kind of provided that. I bet you the Browns right now are sick to their stomach that they did not keep Joe Flacco, who led that team to the playoffs last year after Deshaun Watson went down in week 6. I think it was week 6. But when he went down, they just, he did everything. He's playing well with the Colts. So if I'm the Colts, I'm like, what do I do here? Anthony Richardson, do you let him get completely healthy, or you just let Joe Flacco run the ship? Because if he comes back in and Anthony's not doing the business, Joe Flacco looking pretty good right now. Colts are at 16. At 15, the 49ers, They got their win against Seattle, to 24, and we saw San Francisco trying to get another team trying to figure things back out. They are riddled with injuries, and the injury bug has smacked them, and you can tell they are missing Christian McCaffrey. Most definitely. Brandon Ayuk has not been around. he just hasn't been around. Like, he hasn't been there at all, it feels like. They paid this man all his money, and he has been absent. He's like an absentee father. That's what Brandon Ayuk is right now. Just come see your kids, Brandon. That's it. San Francisco's at 15. At 14, the Philadelphia Eagles winning a tight one against the Browns, which is not a badge of honor. The Browns have been absolutely terrible this year, and they had to do everything in their power to pull that game off. And then the NFL, I tend to get it for Sunday, but man, this is a game that I felt like they should have handled quite well. And Philly's still trying to find their way, but they're at 14. At 13, the San Diego, aka LA Chargers, are at 13. They're a team that, to me, I'm still trying to get a feel for. But they are winning, some tough games so far, and we'll see if they can continue to rise. I just don't have a feeling about this team. Like, there's not a part of me that says, oh, they're really good, or there's not a part of me that says they're really bad. They're really just, and that's how I feel about them, at least right now. They're at 13. At 12, the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams is coming together, man. Caleb Williams looks good. He's done a really good job the last couple of weeks. He had a 4-touchdown game in London against London's, pretty much their home team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. But a great job by Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. They're 4-2. They're tied with the Packers and probably the best division in football, the NFC North. Who would have thought? Vikings 5-0, Lions 4-1, Packers 4-2, Bears 4-2. Best division football. Would have never guessed. I didn't have it on my bingo card. At 11, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh knocking hard, trying to get back into the top 10. They're going to bring, it looks like they're going to bring Russell Wilson in to be the starter this week, which is very intriguing, especially since they're not playing miserable with Justin Fields starting, but maybe they want a little bit more dynamicness. I don't know how that's going to go, but if you're Russell, you got to have a great week. You can't have a bad week, because if you have a bad week, they're going to bring Justin right back in there, because he's had things, pretty much in hand. The offense hasn't been prolific, but they've been winning games. So, well, there it is. Outside looking in. Dolphins, Broncos, Cowboys, Seahawks, Colts, 49ers, Eagles, Chargers, Bears, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, the outside looking in, getting a little tight at the top. Can the Bears jump into the top 10? Well, maybe not this week because they're on a bye, but who knows? Maybe the other teams lose and they slide right in. I don't know. But the Bears, the Chargers, the Steelers, all knocking on the door, trying to get back in. The 49ers are creeping their way back up. But, hey, I digress. Let's hit the top 10. All right, top 10 this week. At number 10, the Washington Commanders. Washington 4-2, tough loss to the number 5 team on this power ranking, the Baltimore Ravens. It was a really good game. It was an honor to actually be there to watch everything kind of unfold. I thought both quarterbacks played well, but I think, Lamar Jackson helped out his potential third MVP status. But the real MVP, in my opinion, was Derrick Henry. Like, Derrick Henry was just amazing. I think 24 carries, 132 yards. And then he had 2 touchdowns, and watching him work in person was just a thing of beauty. The Commanders, I thought, played well enough to potentially win, but they're still not there yet. And it's okay, but they competed with a team that has Super Bowl aspirations and is a Super Bowl caliber team in the Ravens. So if you're a Washington fan, keep your head up. At number 9, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We talked about their 51-27 smashing of the Saints. Baker Mayfield, who's been pretty much in my top 5 each week as a MVP candidate. Even though the 3 interceptions this week, I still like him. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. I like this Bucs team. I think they could sneak the Ravens this week. Just a little bit of a preview. I think they could sneak them this week and surprise a couple people, but we'll see. At number 8, the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo wins on Monday night against the Jets, but they needed more help at the receiver position, and they went and got Amari Cooper. I like that for them. It gives them a legit number 1 receiver in Amari, and I think he's going to really benefit, from Josh Allen and this team. So it's a really good move by Buffalo, and I like what I see. They're at number 8. At number 7, the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love and the crew. They've been through some trials and tribulations this season so far. You lose the first game in Brazil. Jordan Love gets hurt. He's out for 2 weeks. Comes back against the Vikings. They're down 28-0. They come all the way back. They only end up losing by 2. Then they win the last 2 weeks. They beat the Rams. They beat the Cardinals. This week they got the Texans. They got the number 3 team on this power ranking. Next week, and in Green Bay at home, big game. Big game for both teams, but big game for Green Bay. They need that game next week against the Texans. At number 6, the Atlanta Falcons, another team on the rise. Rise up for those Falcons fans out there. I like what Kurt and the squad is doing. Drake London is becoming the receiver we thought he could be. As long as he had a solid quarterback, we are seeing that right now. We are seeing what Drake London could be right now. And that's, if you're a Falcons fan, you got to absolutely love that. You have to love it. Bijan Robinson, still kind of get it. But now we got to figure out Kyle Pitts. How do we get Kyle Pitts going? That's the biggest challenge right now for the Atlanta Falcons. At 5, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. At number 4, the Detroit Lions, after their beat down of the Dallas Cowboys. Jared Goff had a really good day, perfect QB rating. He just killed it. The defense was on point. At 5 turnovers, they were doing their thing. Detroit's at 4. At 3, the Houston Texans, after their 41-21 beatdown of the New England Patriots. You got to win that game. And the way they win it is exactly the way you're supposed to win it. At 2, the Vikings, they were on a bye last week, and the Chiefs, they're still number 1. They were on a bye. They did nothing to lose their spot. All right, so top 10, Commanders, Bucks, Bills, Packers, Falcons, Ravens, Lions, Texans, Vikings, and the Kansas City Chiefs are number 1 for the, let's see, I guess this would be week number 6, 7, 7, whatever. They've been number 1 the whole season. All right. So now we head to the finale. It's time for us to go ahead and finish this episode up. Now we hit the finale, and we're going to start off with one of my new favorite segments, or technically new / old, but it's time for our Week 6 Kings of the Gridiron.
Who want war in the ring? Who want war with the king? Bring all the balls you can bring. It ain't gonna cost you a thing. You ain't bring the sauce to the ring. You must send the sauce in the ring.
Hello, everyone. Darrell Owens, and it is time for Kings of the Gridiron for Week 6. Who are our Kings of the Gridiron for Week 6? Our players of the week for Week 6, all here right now. And this time, we got a double dose of Detroit. And let's start off with our offensive player of the week, our offensive king of the gridiron, Jared Goff. Jared Goff had an amazing day against the Dallas Cowboys. The numbers, you say, well, wait a minute. Those numbers are not big time, but he went 18 for 25, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a 158.3 QBR rating. I mean, just an amazing day for Jared Goff in that 47-9 victory over Dallas. More importantly, moving the Detroit Lions to 4-1 on the NFL season. Then you say, wait a minute. What about the defensive king of the gridiron? Well, we stay in Detroit, and this time we go with Brian Branch. What a day for Branch. Branch had 6 tackles, 2 big interceptions, and he forced a huge fumble in this contest. This Detroit team was clicking on all cylinders throughout this contest, beating up a Dallas team that is trying to figure themselves out. And Brian Branch was leading the way for this Detroit Lions team. And there they are, ladies and gentlemen, your kings of the gridiron for week 6 of the NFL season. Jared Goff, offensive king of the gridiron for the Detroit Lions, and Brian Branch, defensive king of the gridiron for the Detroit Lions. We'll see you all next week to find out who will be our week 7 kings of the gridiron. Oh, yeah, kings of the gridiron, Jared Goff, Brian Branch, congratulations. First time I think we've had teammates. And I had to double check. I think the Texans may have done it one time, but I'll check the records. But I think the Lions may have been the first time that we had the offense and defensive player come from the same team. So shout out to the kings of the gridiron, Jared Goff and Brian Branch. Now we head to our MVP race. Number 1, Sam Darnold for me still. I just like what Sam Darnold has done for this Minnesota Vikings team. He's looking to play his best ball right now. He had a bye last week. I have him at number 1. I know a lot of people like Jaden Daniels, and I know a lot of people like Lamar Jackson, but I got Sam Darnold at number 1. At number 2, I got Lamar Jackson's teammate, Mr. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has been amazing so far this season. And I don't know if I know the Ravens are good, but I don't know if they're this good the way they're playing right now without Derrick Henry. So I got him at number 2. At number 3, Baker Mayfield. Tough week last week, the 3 picks, but I still like Baker. And I think Baker's doing really good things. I got him at 3. At 4, Pat Mahomes. Mahomes is Mahomes. And as long as that team is still rolling along, he's gonna be in the mix. And then Jaden Daniels is last. He had a really good week last week against the Ravens. I thought he didn't do anything to hurt that team. He scored threw for 2 touchdowns, both of them going to Terry McLaurin, which that's becoming a really nice combination between those two. So that was the biggest thing for the longest time, is people trying to find that spot for Terry. And Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin seem to be that combination. So it's good to see so far. Last week in Pick'ems, your boy, 10-4, best week I've had so far this season. 8 games over 500. I'm working, y'all. I'm trying to get my way back up the ladder. It's been a rough one, but we're gonna see how it goes. Last week's top NFL experts for week number 6 in our NFL Pick'em on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, Russ and James, 13-1 apiece. That close for perfect records. We've never had perfect records in the league, and they came that close last week. James because he didn't pick the 49ers, and Russ because he picked his team instead of picking the Bengals last week. In the standings, Cody is now the overall leader with 60 wins, 32 losses. Joey's 1 game behind him, and James is 2 games behind him, so they're creeping up. In the All-Star division, new leader Russ is reclaiming the title. The guy who won the overall season championship last year has now have a 4-game lead in the All-Star division over Katie and a 5-game lead over Joe. Tonight, I got the Denver Broncos. Winning tonight over the New Orleans Saints, 19-13. I think it'll be a tight contest, but I think Sean Payton will get what he wants, and that's just a smidge of revenge, or be able to go in and beat his former team. All right, and last but not least, y'all, here in the finale, my winners for week 7. I got Broncos, Packers, Commanders, Jags, Bills, Eagles, Lions, Falcons, Bengals, Colts, Rams, Chiefs, Jets, Buccaneers, and the San Diego Chargers. All right, everybody, that is it for 101 episode 144. Thank everybody for tuning in. We truly appreciate y'all. And we'll be back next week for episode 145 and to see where people stand and going to week 8. We're just this close away from the halfway point of the season. But we truly appreciate everybody for joining us. And we'll see you all next week. Same time, same bet channel.
One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop.